Encanto is Disney Animation Studios' most recent film, hitting theaters in late November of 2021. Now, me being the broke college student I am, opted to wait a bit before watching it because, I don't know, it'd be cheaper to be patient and see it later. Luckily, I didn't need to do this because my wonderful family members helped me out by giving me access to their Disney Plus subscription, and the rest is history. So here I was, sitting one night in front of the television and thinking to myself, hey, why don't I watch Encanto? I've heard good things about it, and it's not made by Illumination, so it's gotta be at least watchable, right? Well, folks, it turns out Encanto is more than just watchable. It's straight up beautiful. From the visuals to the music to the characters and their stories, this film deserves a bit of light shit on it. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's talk about what makes Encanto a great movie. Now, Encanto opens up on the Madrigal family. Blessed with powers, they are a staple in their small community, each possessing a unique magical ability. Well, all except for our main protagonist, Mirabelle. The funny, quirky, and empathetic 15-year-old struggles to find her place among her gifted family members. And the movie captures this sentiment beautifully. Mirabelle having no powers results in her largely being shunned by her Abuela, who in her job of keeping the family reputation alive and the magic in check, spares no love or attention for our protagonist. Thus, Mirabelle is left behind, and we as an audience begin to see this family's imperfections creak into the limelight. Or, on a more literal note, we begin to see cracks forming in the family dynamic. Now, over the years, I've seen many Disney films. But the thing I'll say about this one is that I don't think I've ever related to a main character in a Disney film as much as Mirabelle. Now, if I were to pin it down, it's not that I haven't seen the quirky, weird, and funny Disney princess trope before. I have. But it's more that I've never seen Disney so effectively emulate the feeling of being ungifted or different, and therefore less desirable to the people you really care about. For me, I have lived very similar situations, as well as probably countless others watching this video. I've had people, whether it be relatives, friends, or otherwise, treat me differently than others. These people, well, they tend to publicly pick favorites, putting those individuals on a pedestal while not really going out of their way to understand or get to know me because I just wasn't the kind of person they liked, or there was something about me they found to be undesirable. Not that I ever knew what that undesirable trait was because they never wanted to talk to me. But if anything, it shows that we live in a world where not everyone is going to understand or like you, or even put any effort into doing so. And it can be really tough. Especially when this happens with someone in your own family. It sucks that Mirabelle has no powers, and to compound this, it sucks even more that her Abuela loses sight of what matters more than even the family's magical abilities. The family itself, the people, they're what matters most. And slowly, the movie shows us how things aren't so black and white among the sisters as well. While Mirabelle has shown us her point of view, within her actions and being shunned from Antonio's gifting ceremony, as well as that excellent Disney I Want song, we get to see a bit more with the side characters in this movie than even other movies I've seen. In a combination of well-written and wonderfully performed songs, all penned by this guy who you may or may not know at this point. Yeah, you probably know him. Anyway, Lin-Manuel Miranda creates a bunch of really great tunes here, accented with his signature light rapping style and rhythmic lyrics to give it just a bit of added spice, and nothing is overdone. All the music is great, it's subtle, and most importantly, it delivers the points of views of the characters beautifully. Luisa, while gifted, is so busy meeting the needs of the villagers and doing their jobs like moving animals and fixing houses that she seldom has time for herself. And compounding that problem is the fact that this constant pressure to answer everyone's call and meeting the village's and family's expectation, it's just crushing to her. And this all compounds when she begins to lose her strength and all she feels she can do is sit down and cry. Bruno is the family's runaway, and his character is so great. He's funny, maybe a little bit crazy, but honestly just a pretty cool guy who ran away because Abuela and most of the villagers, they only saw the worst in him, so he felt the only way not to hurt them was to just disappear and not be there at all. And then there's Miss Perfect, Isabella. Now, I doubt I'm alone in saying we all know a person like this. Kind of a prima donna on the surface, bratty, complaining about things that shouldn't matter, and just quite annoying overall. But this movie balances Isabella out very well, I think. The expectation of being seen as a perfect pawn to the Madrigal name for Isabella means she is reduced to marrying a suitable poser, which the community/family has pushed on her, and having children bearing the same name as her solitary goal in life. And even if she wanted to marry the guy and have children, well, I mean, that would be perfect for the family, then her goals would align with theirs. But Isabella has her own wants and desires. She doesn't want to be Miss Perfect all the time. She's not ready to settle down and have a family with some guy from the other side of the village who she doesn't know very well. And once in a while, she wants to grow a cactus or dye her hair a really weird color or just do something fun, even if it's outside the bounds of perfection and would be frowned upon by her Abuela. And of course, I had to mention Abuela. This all comes back to her because she's the backbone of the Madrigal family, and her worst fear in the world is losing those powers her family was given, and losing the casita that has kept them together for so long. The problem being, what really holds the household together, what keeps the candles burning and the magic in the balance, is the family itself. It only begins to show cracks when Mirabelle feels she isn't part of the family, and the magic dies when Abuela blames Mirabelle for the family's problems and finally throws the misunderstanding out into the open, culminating in a statement that hit me pretty hard. When Mirabelle said, "None of us will ever be good enough for you," to her Abuela, I felt that, because I've said that same statement to people before as well. This scene took me and threw me right back into those tense moments, and as such, I was able to fully appreciate the strife these two felt. I mean, I sided with Mirabelle over her Abuela, but that probably comes as no surprise either because of the way the movie was framed. In any case, the magic that bound the Madrigals was ignited and powered by the love they held for each other. And when that love is challenged or begins to fade and our characters feel lost, that's when the casita begins to break down and the magic fades away. It's quite literally telling us that the family's happiness keeps the magic alive and keeps the house together, because without it, there would be nothing left to call home. It's a simple statement on relationships and family dynamics being messy sometimes, but a simple statement can be enough. Frozen 2 had a limited production time and only a first draft to work with, and what ended up culminating was a broken up, confusing mess that was trying to say way too many things while not ending up saying much at all in the end because of all the random inconsistencies in the plot. And I at least hope that the folks who made Encanto had a more reasonable schedule and demand to work with than that of the Frozen 2 staff had when they made their film. But let's hold on to that thought. Encanto does a lot of things right, most of the characters get good development, and by the end of the movie, everything is pretty good regarding the family. But yeah, there was definitely some plot army stuff with Mirabelle going into Bruno's room and almost dying like 3 times, and then I was kind of thrown out of the movie when Abuela saw Mirabelle and Isabella dancing on the roof of the casita doing their musical number together. I just think a character seeing the musical number happening on the screen who wasn't involved directly in it and being like, "What the heck is that musical number?" kind of killed the willing suspension of disbelief for me for a minute, and made the fact that they were singing on a roof actually seem weird for the first time to the viewer. But maybe it's just me. Other than that, the movie was really solid. The music was really good, the characters were good, plot good, and I loved the scene where Mirabelle and her Abuela made up and came to an understanding. It was beautiful, and I'm not saying I shed a tear, but I might have shed a tear. And so overall, this is a really strong entry coming from Disney Animation Studios. I can finally say we have a movie that can run with Moana in terms of quality. And considering how mixed the 2010s was as a decade for full-length animated features, I think it's safe to say that this is a very strong hope to begin 2022 on. So I'm going to give this one an 8.5 to 9 out of 10. It's a great movie, and I highly recommend it to anyone looking for another great entry into the world of Disney animation. Anyway, let me know as always what you thought of it in the comments below. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.